Let's get some more insight into this with Peter Alexander. He's a global food security lecturer at the University of Edinburgh, and he joins us from Edinburgh in the UK. Peter, food safety is closely linked to food security. We talked a lot about food security in the wake of the war in Ukraine. How would you assess the global situation now? Are things getting better? Are they the same? Has it stabilised?
It's a complex situation that's always evolving. We have facing a number of pressures. We have global climate change. We have obviously the war in Ukraine, post-COVID sort of bounce. So that's all putting or has put enormous pressure on the global food system. We're somewhat seeing the resolution of that. Prices have come down notably over the last 6 months or so, but it's still putting a number of difficulties for people who are on the lowest incomes. But to connect this back to food safety and diseases, also climate change is playing a role there in terms of rises of pathogens due to higher temperatures and greater humidity in some parts of the world. So there are a lot of complex stories that are integrating within the global food system.
The UN has said that no one should get sick from eating food. I mean, it's a great goal, but as you say, in practice, it's not always doable, not least because of climate change impacts. But what about nutrition? How are people across the globe, how does it vary with the access they can get to nutritional food?
Yeah, so you're showing some interesting photos that are very relevant to this. Sort of Nestle and ice cream and so forth would all be considered ultra-processed foods. And as we get more and more evidence about the negative consequences on human health from those aspects, and that's also part of food safety, not just the sort of the disease aspects, but the non-communicable disease aspects as well. The food system that we have globally at the moment isn't really producing the outcomes that we want it to produce. We have this rise, this sort of epidemic of obesity and people who are overweight, and the health consequences associated with that, diabetes, for example. But also, the system is producing a large quantity of greenhouse gases, the predominant driver for loss of biodiversity and water use as well. So, we have this system that's not producing kind of healthy outcomes, and it's not producing sustainable outcomes either. We really do need to think about how we move away from some of those behaviors kind of at a system level and an individual level.
In a food security sense, I know this is a tough question, but what is the main thing you would like to see changed to ensure food security is more easily accessed for people across the world?
Yeah, well, that's a really hard question. I mean, there aren't really clear visions about what a healthy, sustainable food system would look like, or maybe there are many. There's not one kind of agreed upon kind of view about how that would look. Some people would suggest, we need to move towards more organic and regenerative agriculture and so forth, and that, while other people kind of sort of portray sort of much more technological focused production system. But I think in all the cases, we do need to move more towards the pictures you're showing now in terms of sort of fresh fruit and veg and away from the more processed foods, and also the foods higher in animal products, meat and ruminant meat in particular. It doesn't mean we're all necessarily need to become vegan, but we do need to think about changing both production and consumption of food and the sort of the global markets that supply that to us.
Peter Alexander biting into some of the big issues there. Thank you.